Good morning and welcome home. There is in this place the possibility of healing, of repair, of making things right within ourselves, between us and the wider world. We gather around this light of hope as we share this time together. Amen, Ashe, and may it be so.
Amen.
Good morning and welcome to Wedgwood this morning. We are so happy to see everyone here this morning, and those of you that are listening that we don't see, welcome. We have people from all over that come in with us on Sunday morning. We have a group from Chicago, and welcome to you if you all are still on. We're just glad to have everyone join us this morning, and whether it's this morning or during the week, we are happy to have you here with us. Our theme this morning is Solidarity Forever. Thomas Blanford will be speaking on that subject, and we will begin with our prelude. We are one. Beautiful. We are unity. We are one. We are all together on this journey to help each other. And now we have a few announcements. Next Sunday, Khalid Hijazi will be speaking. He has been leading our book club this time, and we wanted the church to get a chance to meet him and hear him. And he will be speaking on Zionism, Christian Zionism, Jewish Zionism, and how it became so much a part of the political landscape. So we look forward to having him join us. Social justice, the focus of this church, viewing that everyone deserves equal rights, opportunities, and treatment regardless of race, economic status, sexuality, or gender identity. And we have a few events coming up to help us support that mission. The Wedgwood Book Club, reading the 100 Years' War on Palestine. And as I said, our speaker next week has been leading us through this study. It's been quite intense, but wow, I have learned so much, and I've had to unlearn so much in this book. So read through page 206. You're always welcome to join and just listen in, even if you're not reading the book. And our film festival is coming up June 9th. We're all excited about it. Those of you on the committee know that we had some issues with some of the films we selected, so we are not going to be charging admission to view the films. We are going to request donations to Wedgwood to help support the festival and to the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. So we're even more dependent on sponsorships. We have 4 or 5 sponsorships at this time. If you know of an organization that would like to sponsor, if you know of a restaurant, perhaps a Middle Eastern restaurant that you frequent, and we will work with folks on the amount if it's a restaurant or small business and they would like to help for less than 150, just tell us what they would like in exchange. Maybe their menus, maybe their advertisements on our table. So we are willing to work with people, and donations will go to the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. And there was some information about that in our newsletter this week. Couple community events coming up soon that some of us may want to be a part of. May 30th, Lawana Mayfield sent this to me, Faith in Housing. It will be held at the Charlotte Convention Center. Housing is a big issue in Charlotte, affordable housing. And registration begins at 8:15. The event itself begins at 9. I have more information. If you are interested in attending, contact the church and I'll send you all the information. Saturday, June 29th, the Poor People's Campaign March on Washington. There will be buses going from Charlotte. So if you are interested in going for that march in Washington, this is Dr. Barber's organization that he led and started. So if you are interested in more information on that, please email the church and I will get all that information to you so that you can sign up to join that group. We are stronger together, and that's what we're talking about this morning. We hope you'll consider joining Wedgwood. It's very simple. We don't require that you believe in a certain creed or no certain requirements that you have to adhere to. So it's just a very simple form that you fill out so we can get to know you better. And we would love to have you be a member so that you can participate in business meetings and making decisions on the direction of the church. And it is on our webpage, and there's a link also in our newsletter, or you can contact the church, but we would love to have you join. Connect with us. We are on lots of social media, and whatever social media you're on, share it for us. Help us get the word out there about Wedgwood Church and who we are. And we have 4 part-time staff members, myself, ministerial coordinator. Liz is not here today. Community outreach, Ashanti is our music coordinator, and Ryan is our technology coordinator. Contact us anytime for constructive criticism, ideas. Call me and tell me you want to speak. I would love it. Anything at all. We want to know. We want to know about concerns. We want to know about illnesses. So please reach out. And we do a lot of social justice work. We appreciate everything that everybody gives to the church to help sustain this. All of what we make goes pretty much to social justice. We don't have a building that we're keeping up, so please consider donating and giving to Wedgwood to support our social justice work. All right, thank you. And now Thomas will lead us in our extravagant welcome.
We are all welcome here. Welcome to a church that works for peace, justice, equality, and the care of Mother Earth. We are
all welcome here.
an extravagant welcome to you because of your gender identification, sexual orientation, ethnicity, economic situation, physical and mental challenges, doubting or believing, being depressed or full of joy.
We
are
are
all welcome
welcome
here.
here.
We are a community of curious and creative spiritual seekers, striving to learn and embody the way of servant leadership.
We are all
welcome here.
We focus on the plundered and marginalized as we try to address the major issues of our day.
We are all welcome here.
One of the ways we seek to heal the world and ourselves is through sharing parts of our personal story.
We
are
all
welcome here. And now we come to a time of celebrations and concerns. This morning, concerns that you have on your heart and celebrations also. My daughter-in-law's mother was hospitalized yesterday in Canada, in Calgary. And some heart issues, some heart problems. We're not sure yet how serious or what it is, but I just want us to remember her, Carol Robinson. I'm sure she probably won't get many tests done until Monday, you know how hospitals are. But please keep her in mind as you think about concerns this week. Are there others? Celebrations.
Today is Patrice Gaines' birthday, so if y'all have her email or telephone number, give her a happy birthday shout out.
Yes, we definitely will. Patrice is in our book club and she spoke a couple Sundays, so we'll wish her a happy birthday today. Anything else? Certainly Palestine, Israel, that whole situation we always want to remember, and the elections for this year are just crucial. And we want to remember this, our own country at this time. It's a tough time. Anything else? All right, well, we will have a time of silence according to whatever your beliefs are. If you believe in prayer, meditation, just want to sit and self-reflect on how we can be better humans on this planet, or just a moment or time of silence and quiet before you begin the next week. Amen. And now Laura has our words of wisdom this morning from Nelson Mandela.
Morning, everyone. As the years progress, one increasingly realizes the importance of friendship and human solidarity. And if a 90-year-old may offer some unsolicited advice on this occasion, it would be that you, irrespective of your age, should place human solidarity, the concern for the other, at the center of the values by which you live. Thank you.
Thank you. Always wise words from Nelson Mandela. And now we'll turn the service over to Thomas.
Good morning, everyone. The theme for this week's reflection is solidarity. And if I get off track, feel free to rein me in. I won't mind at all. Solidarity is an essential tool, as we say in our extravagant welcome, for the plundered and the marginalized. But it is also a threatening concept to the wealthy and the powerful. I'm going to talk about some of my experiences in the labor movement that deepened and broadened my understanding of solidarity and the strategies used by the powerful to disrupt it. It might seem strange to be talking about labor unions while living in the second least unionized state in the nation and in the sixth least unionized industrial country in the world. There are some bright signs on the horizon in the South, at least from my perspective. Recently, the workers at Peterbilt Truck in North Carolina signed a contract, unionized and signed a contract including a 25% wage increase. 5,000 Volkswagen workers in Tennessee, of all places, voted to join the UAW. And more than 2,000 Mercedes-Benz workers in Alabama voted union last Thursday, although they lost the vote by 600 votes. 6 Southern governors wrote a letter to the workers at Mercedes threatening job losses if the workers voted to unionize. They even called Nick Saban, an immensely popular University of Alabama football coach, into the plant to meet with workers to attack the union. My introduction to the labor movement came when I was working as a supply delivery worker member at Children's Hospital in Boston, part of the Harvard Medical Complex. It became quite clear that the hourly staff at this prestigious hospital were the lowest of the low. This is best illustrated by Esmond's story. Esmond was a housekeeper, Jamaican, a single mom, just barely getting by. Immigration status was not carefully scrutinized at that point, and her immigration status was unclear. Esmond walked to work in the morning to save 35-cent bus fare. One morning, I was walking by the housekeeping office, and I heard a doctor ranting and raving. "I want her fired right now," he yelled. "She stole my wallet from my office, and I will not have it." Because doctors were king, Esmond was fired. Several weeks later, I was delivering mail to this doctor, and he noticed me. "Service around this hospital has fallen apart," he complained. "Trash doesn't get picked up, lab deliveries are late, and my mail is misdirected. What's happening around here?" He asked me, one of the few Caucasian employees in his orbit. "Maybe," I said. "People are angry at you because of Esmond." "Who's Esmond?" he inquired. "She's the hospital housekeeper that you fired for stealing your wallet. She was much loved around here." "Oh," he said, "darn, it slipped my mind. I found my wallet in my lab coat later that morning. Did I forget to tell them? I'll try to set things right." Of course, Esmond was long gone by this point. There are many stories like this. One time, the hospital was encouraging employees to attend a rally for expanded health coverage for low-income residents. One of the liberal docs asked if I was going to attend. I said I didn't get off work in time for the rally, and I suggested that he ask administration to grant an extra hour leave for staff to attend the rally. "A great idea," he said. "Where can I find you to follow up?" I told him to look up. I'd been putting his lab results and mail on his desk twice a day for 3 months, and he'd never noticed me. 1199 Hospital Workers Union was conducting a massive organizing drive in all the hospitals in Boston. Naturally, I became active. Supply delivery was a perfect job for organizing. We got all through the hospital, and I had my ears to the ground, so I heard a lot of stories. One anecdote I still chuckle at. I'm still laughing just to remember this. Harvard hospitals are research hospitals, and many doctors were at least as interested, and maybe more interested, in conducting research and winning Nobel Prizes than in patient care. Many of the carefully selected children with research-worthy diseases were on very strict nutritional regimens, with every input and output carefully measured. I overheard a conversation among doctors about a strange phenomenon among West Indian children who were gaining weight while on this restrictive diet. I could hear a research paper being generated in his mind. What he didn't realize is that West Indian dietary aides were appalled at how these children from their community were being starved. Jello, white rice, boiled chicken, they would never get well. The dietary workers would slip rice and beans, plantain, curry, and curry goat onto the children's dietary plates. It never occurred to the highly trained doctors that the invisible workers could play any role at all. Powerful institutions and powerful individuals are extremely threatened by solidarity. It disrupts their absolute control. A union could have saved Esmond and negotiated release time for the demonstration. In the case of the Harvard hospitals, they hired an expensive union busting firm who brought in a company union, which had free rein to talk to employees and sign people up. The National Labor Relations Board rule states that a majority of workers must select a single union. So the final vote on unionization was 43% for 1199 hospital workers, 35% for the company union, and 23% for no union. So as a result, we all lost, even though 78% voted in favor of a union. Massive dismissals followed across all 7 hospitals, including me. There's an extremely profitable union busting industry, and there are law firms who specialize in nothing else. The most creative union busting technique occurred in the foundry I worked in outside of Detroit. We are on the verge of organizing into the UAW when the company instituted a new policy. They decided that as soon as the shift hit their production quota, everybody could go home. Why did they do this? The company knew it would cause huge rift between the veteran employees who had been into fairly soft and easier jobs and the new employees who were busting their behinds trying to keep up in a very dangerous and unhealthy work environment. The veterans wanted to work through their lunch and breaks so we could all go home after 6.5 hours, but that was just too much for the rest of us. Arguments and fights broke out over this policy, and any hope of solidarity was gone, and the union drive collapsed. Sometimes efforts to forge solidarity had mixed results. Livonia Steel Drum Company outside of Detroit received chemical drums from the auto plants, which we emptied out, cleaned out with acid, bumped out any dings, repainted, and returned to the plants for reuse. The air was thick with chemicals, many carcinogens such as trichloroethane, and occasionally we'd empty a drum, mix with another chemical on the floor, and create a toxic gas. We would all have to evacuate until the air cleared. Sanitation facilities and safety precautions were in short supply. It was the kind of place that employed, quote, last chance workers, formerly incarcerated, bad employment record, etc. After a lot of devious twists and turns from the management, we won the union vote to join the United Auto Workers. When our local officers came to the site to congratulate us, they were appalled. The president put in an emergency call to OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, who came out and immediately put in a call to the Environmental Protection Agency. It turns out that in addition to dangerous conditions for the workers, the plant was draining their chemical residue into a local stream. In short order, the plant was padlocked, manager and owner charged and arrested, and we were all out of work. I still have mixed feelings about this and hope that my coworkers found employment that wasn't going to kill them. We took solidarity in the union seriously, all for one, one for all. When I worked in the Chrysler truck plant, also in Detroit, one of our African-American union brothers had purchased a home on the east side of Detroit, which at that time was largely white. Realtors were aggressively working to frighten white folks into selling their house below market value and move to the suburbs. Our union brother and his family were being harassed with slit tires and even cross burnings in their yard. The UAW, the United Auto Workers, has a long tradition dating back to the 30s of flying squadrons, which played a defensive role when someone was being attacked. We voted in our local to activate the flying squadron and took turns in shifts to hang out our union brothers home all night, hiding in the bushes or on the porch, baseball bats and even more dangerous implements in hand. After a week of the racists driving by and getting chased off by us union thugs, everything quieted down, but we remained on call. There's a couple of things that most people don't realize about unions. One is the educational role that unions can play. Liberals currently lament that, quote, non-college educated have turned away from progressive policies. These same liberals, however, stood back and watched as state governments passed right-to-work laws and moved operations to low-wage, non-union locations, both in the US and around the world. Elected union leaders, especially at the local level, had the respect and attention of the workforce. I'll never forget a Sunday morning union meeting where an invited guest speaker explained how, quote, triple-down economics, as promoted by Ronald Reagan, was actually a disguised attack on working people. I later heard shop stewards explaining this to brothers and sisters in the break room. Such channels of communication to working class folks from trusted leaders were a threat and successfully attacked, while liberals' attention was elsewhere. Secondly, unions are not monolithic. Even when the union leadership is reactionary or even racist, there are progressive caucuses within most unions. Teamsters for a Democratic Union was a strong progressive force in the Teamsters Union. The Dodge Revolutionary Union Movement, or DRUM, took over the leadership of several Dodge locals. United Steelworker and Mine Workers caucuses were actively promoting democracy and support for human rights. My last job before retiring was with the National Education Association, which is a union of teachers and educational professionals with over 3 million members. Of course, in North Carolina and much of the South, teachers are not permitted to join a union, to bargain, to sign contracts, or to strike. NEA was an interesting mix of hardcore unionists who believed that our primary job was wages and conditions and defending members' rights. I worked with groups within the union that believed that teacher quality was a core union interest. My experience taught me that the hardest job in the teaching profession was trying to teach history to students who had never learned to read because the third grade teacher where reading was taught was unqualified. A second hardest job was trying to teach Algebra 2 when the Algebra 1 teacher was really the coach who never had any training in teaching mathematics. We believe that a highly skilled and competent teacher in every classroom was in every teacher's interest and was a core function that the union should be promoting. North Carolina. Believe it or not, there's a strong union history in our state. I don't know how many of you have heard of the Gastonian mill workers strike, but during September of 1934, 65,000 North Carolina textile workers stayed home, shutting down the entire state textile industry. The center of the strike in North Carolina was in Gastonia. The National Guard was called in to protect the mills, and much violence and many worker deaths were recorded. It was one of the most violent strikes in the history. Across North Carolina, stirrings are happening in the Smithfield hog processing plants and the chicken processing plants that Purdue runs, and as I mentioned, the Peterbilt contract. Still, however, Oxfam America, a national charity organization that focuses on labor policy and human rights, ranked North Carolina 52nd out of 52 states when it comes to wages, unemployment benefits, and laws set in place to protect and support workers. One final thought. Solidarity is not an abstract concept expressed through emails or yard signs. True solidarity requires a strong organization to withstand the attacks on the marginalized. Unions can play this role effectively, but other organizations can as well. So I encourage you to watch what's happening at Tyson Chicken in Smithfield. I don't know if you realize that according to the Charlotte Observer 3 days ago, every 10 days, a North Carolina construction worker dies on the job, many times in preventable industries. I encourage you to pay attention to organizations such as the ACLU, Moral Mondays, Poor People's Campaign, NARAL Pro-Choice, the Working People's Party, Wedgwood, and many others. I would encourage you to join me in supporting and engaging an organization that builds solidarity in protection of the plundered and the marginalized. So that's all I have to say. So you might have to start your afternoon a little bit early, but I'd be glad to answer any questions or if anybody has any comments.
That was very informative, and I like how you put it all together. Was the first city Boston that you talked about?
Yes.
Okay, I'm from Boston, and you worked with Children's Hospital, and I worked at Harvard.
Really?
Yeah. So I didn't know all that was going because I'm on another part of the hospital scheme there.
And you're much younger than me.
So it was a while ago, I guess. And then the second city. What was the second city?
Detroit.
Detroit. Okay, I missed that part. And then the third one was North Carolina.
Right.
Okay. Thank you for all the information. I didn't know any of that. Thank you. Appreciate that.
And I believe a movie was made out of the strike in Gastonia.
Yes.
Isn't there a movie about that strike? And as a retired teacher, I just want to say things are not good. I saw a list the other day. North Carolina is at the bottom in pay.
Right.
And also as far as student learning and student achievement, we are at the bottom. I worked in a unionized state when I taught in New York, And I can tell you, it was the best teaching experience I ever had. And even to this day, they had benefits that we still don't have here.
Right.
I mean, we actually got time to go eat lunch. Here, elementary teachers eat with their students and they're jumping up. Somebody spilled milk, somebody did this. They don't even have that. And the salary is not good
Right.
compared to others. It was the AFT that I was
Right.
a member of.
And
And
there's
they really did, and I'm assuming still do work for teachers. And if you do any research, you find that test scores for students are higher in unionized school systems
right, absolutely.
because the teachers are not exhausted, they're paid, and they have more benefits and they have break time. And the student test scores are higher in unionized school systems. I just wanted to add that as we come into an election year, watch out for the teachers as candidates are speaking as to what they're going to do.
Right. And they're also, you can, in states where bargaining is allowed, not like in North Carolina, you can bargain class sizes.
Yes,
North Carolina, you can fill as many students as you want to into a
yes,
class. So if you don't have enough teachers, you just divide up the available students and put them wherever they have seats. And that's how you end up with coaches teaching math.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And they've lowered the requirements for teaching here as well.
correct.
So
Right,
you don't get paid anymore for a graduate degree. If you've gone on and gotten a master's, you do not get paid for it. You get paid just on a regular college degree. So it's going down. It's not on the way up. It's on the way down, and we're already down. So that's an important issue as we face an election coming up.
and I think they also are beginning to grant teacher licenses to anybody who has military experience,
Yes,
as if being in the military automatically teaches you how to teach reading to third graders.
yes,
Yeah, I remember military folks that I taught near who were amazed that they would say, sit down and be quiet, and the children wouldn't do it.
yeah,
There's also a very high incidence in North Carolina of kidney disease among female teachers
yes,
because you can't go to the bathroom.
Oh.
And so you can't leave your classroom. That's absolutely forbidden. And so if there's no break time, and there's frequently the faculty restroom is way on the other side of the building, so you can't even get there between any breaks that you have. So there's a high incidence of kidney disease.
Wow.
doctors will tell you they see teachers all the time for kidney infections. And once I left the classroom and was in a different role where I was not teaching the class, I used to intentionally walk all of the halls a couple times a day to see if anybody needed to go to the bathroom.
Right.
I just peep in the door, you okay, you okay, you okay, so that I could watch the students while they went to the bathroom.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
We also, politicians need to, I saw something the other day about Survivor Island or something. Put the politicians in a classroom for a year or a couple months and see how long they survive.
Right. Or have them process chicken for a week at
Yeah.
Purdue.
Exactly.
Right. And see if worker protections might come in handy. But it's so incredible how few protections that we have in our right to work state. You all know what right to work means? Is that a common?
They can fire you at any time, and they don't.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. But right to work means that even in a unionized state, in states that don't have right to work laws, if a majority of the workers in a factory vote to join the union, then everybody becomes a member, because the idea is that once a contract is negotiated, it benefits everybody. So if a majority wants a union, then everybody becomes a union member. and you pay union dues at that point, but you also benefit from increased salaries, increased wages. But even in a place like Peterbilt in North Carolina, where the union just negotiated a 25% wage increase that goes to everybody, something like 30% of the workers did not join the union because you don't have to in North Carolina. So they just get the benefits while other people are paying for the free ride. So there's a lot of anti-union laws in North Carolina that makes it really difficult.
But
Not that I'm on a bandwagon for this or anything.
Oh, no.
well, it's solidarity, and it's part of looking out for the plundered and the marginalized, and people, and especially in low-paying income jobs, and sticking up for each other and fighting for each other, and that's really what solidarity of the union, or whether it's us at Wedgwood with the plundered and it's sticking together. We are one, and we support each other.
No matter what situation is, because it could be the workers, it could be in healthcare, it could be the children, it could be food, it could be housing, all of that.
It's the love thy neighbor.
Yeah.
And if you think about every 10 days, a construction worker in North Carolina is killed on the job.
Terrible.
Who's hired in construction? Look around to see who's working construction in this state.
Yeah.
And you know who that is. And they're afraid to call for help if they don't have safety equipment. That they're afraid there's nobody that can come to their assistance.
Wow.
Well, it's been the same with hotel workers, women working in hotels.
Right.
And they have been sexually abused by managers and people in hotels, and they make almost nothing, and they're afraid to speak up or say anything.
Right.
Because they've got to have that
job. Yeah.
And it's a bad situation for many, many, many people.
Thank you.
All right, Ashanti.
Thank you, Tomas.
Beautiful, Ashanti. Perfect closing. And now Tomas has our closing words.
Yeah, I have, I couldn't pick one, so I have two. Federico Garcia Lorca is a Spanish poet. He writes, "I will always be on the side of those who have nothing and who are not even allowed to enjoy the nothing they have in peace." And secondly, from Mogani Wali Soroti, South African poet, the poem When Lights Go Out. "The knowledge which was born by every heavy minute that we carried across a wilderness where there were no paths. It is when there is no hope that hope begins to walk again. Yet, like we said, hope never befriends. Like we said, hope never befriends fools."
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tomas, if you'll send me those quotes, I'd love to put them on our Facebook page.
Sure.
Those are beautiful. We extinguish this candle, this flame, I should say, but we keep the light in our hearts with this message of love and justice, taken outside of these walls into the world in which we live in. Until we see each other again, amen, ashe, and may it be so. Now go in peace.